Most of y'all know I'm a writer, and one of the things I try to do as a writer is write down what's as close to the truth as possible. A way of getting at the truth, this is a writer's trick I'm going to show you, and you can use it if you want to. You write a sentence, and then you say, what I really mean to say is, and then you see what comes to your mind. With the first part of my vacation, as those of you who are my friends on Facebook will know, and if you're not friends on Facebook with me, just friend me and I'll friend you. I'm the same person everywhere I go. So some of you know that I was experimenting with cooking and baking this summer. Now, I learned something about how I like to do things. What I really mean to say is, I cooked every meal when my boys were growing up. I had 2 sons. I fed them every night. What I really mean to say is, I grilled every meal for my sons when they were growing up. The grill was in the carport. I love cooking over an open flame. Summer, winter, rain, snow, I was out there grilling. Pork chops, hamburgers, steaks, corn, peaches, whatever. One of the good things about grilling is there's not that much measuring involved. And somehow when I was working full-time and being a mother of 2 sons, measuring just was too much. I was unwilling. I was no good at cooking. What I really mean to say is that I had decided when I was a teenager that I was bad at it. I used to experiment all the time in the kitchen. I made my own yogurt, for God's sake. I made bread. I made salads with apple chunks and sunflower seeds. And I got mocked by the grown-ups because it was the early 70s when salad was iceberg and Thousand Island. I got confident. What I really mean to say is I got confident enough to make a mistake. I tried to make an applesauce omelet. I know. I should have known that it would be awful, and lo, it was awful. I left the kitchen. What I really mean to say is I left the kitchen to my mother and my sister, who were a pair, and I went to do math and play chess with my dad, and we were a pair. That's how the family did the divvying up of parents. It was also the early 70s, as I had said, when feminism was trying to find its feet again. And young women were told never to learn to type because you would be doing it the rest of your life then. Never learn to cook because you'll be doing it the rest of your life then, and you should always just say, oh, I can't cook. And there was something about the pressure of that time, or what we thought at that time. We were just supposed to scorn all the things that were part of traditional womanhood. So wearing makeup, cooking, aprons, perfume, whatever, was to be scorned. Those of you who don't understand what a strong stereotype that was, just watch Mad Men and know that it's not exaggerated. So it's taken the new generation of young women who are my 2 daughters-in-law, who can wear aprons and sport tattoos and wonder about family-work balance, and also ask the question of why still family and work balance isn't as big a question for the men as it is for the women. The other thing that inspired me, other than my daughters-in-law, was the Great British Baking Show. I don't know why that show makes me so happy. I just love watching people create under pressure, maybe because I do it once a week. And I go, why did I say I would talk about that? And the charming accents, they're so sweet, and they root for each other. They don't trash talk like the American competition shows. They just go, well, I'm not very good, and I do have a fungus between my fingers, but I'm going to try to do my best. I love the self-deprecation. They don't really talk about fungus. That's gross. Sorry. I'm exaggerating. So I started to cook and bake, and I put my adventures up on Facebook, and I got some helpful advice. One guy, when I was going to make pie crust, he is a chef, and I said, what should I do? And he said, freeze the flour before you use it and dip your hands in an ice water bath because everything has to be really, really cold. And my pie crust turned out great, and I think that was why, because everything was really cold. One person offered to come and bake for me, which was not helpful. It was something else. So sharing your knowledge with somebody, if they're mature enough to receive input, which of course I am, is helpful. A friend in Richmond sent a beautiful set of measuring spoons, since I only had 3 out of the 5 of them, I think. Now I have them all. And a lovely woman in Austin gave me her extra Cuisinart, which fulfilled a wish I thought was out of reach. Another person said, I'm sure they meant well, you should not start with the hard things. You should start with the basics. I don't learn that way. That's not how I like to do it. I learn best a different way. What I really mean to say is, I learn best when I'm thrown into the deep end of the pool and I just have to scramble. I don't really want to learn to cook. I'm a firstborn Virgo. I just want to cook. You see the difference? Fortunately, the deep end is where I landed in Spanish immersion school this summer in San Miguel Allende. We had to find a gay-friendly school, which is something not everybody has to think about, but we did. There are UUs in San Miguel, and they helped us find a house to rent, and they answered questions about Wi-Fi and cell phones and electricity and where to get meat and vegetables and etc. The school was about a 15-minute taxi ride down hair-raisingly narrow, crowded, and cobblestone streets. I believe the largest margin by which we missed other cars was maybe this. That's the largest. I said, how do you know, when I could speak enough Spanish, how do you know when to go? He said, first one, then one, then one, then one, then one. The first day I had to just show the driver the address of the school on my phone. That's how much Spanish I had, which is none. The school had said by email we could start any Monday. So we showed up Monday morning at 8:30 to be placed of our appointment. The lady said we could go to the classroom at the end of the walkway. And so we did. There were 4 people in there. Turned out they had been going already for 2 weeks. And they were on page 52 of a 60-page workbook. Now, immersion means the language is taught in the language itself. It's not taught in your language. So the teacher is just talking, and you have to kind of understand or be lost. Fortunately, I speak moderately good French, so I could understand almost everything she said after a couple of days, as long as she stayed with the basic words, present tense, slowly like you would talk to a child. I was happy figuring it out. That part of my brain that is just wired to remember people's names remembered the vocabulary words. I remembered the name of things, of everything. The grammar, not so much. And the French started kind of interfering, so the little connecting words like and but kind of came in French, and people were kind enough to try to point that out to me. I understand a lot better than I actually talk. So we had wide-ranging conversations about U.S. and Mexican politics, about religion and the revolution, about Chinese herbal medicine. The teachers were professionally patient with my struggles to say things I wanted to say, because surprisingly, I had things I wanted to say, if you can imagine. Now, we had been practicing with Duolingo, which is an app on your phone that'll teach you almost any language you want to know. And I had learned to say, los elefantes no beben leche. The elephants do not drink milk. And quiero más uvas en mi pastel. I want more grapes in my cake. These sentences did me no good in class or with the taxi drivers. The taxi drivers were also professionally patient with my practice. I once in a while would run into someone who was willing to have the patience to correct me, which I appreciated very much. I was telling one that at this hot springs where he was taking us, voy a sentarse en la sombra. I'm going to go sit in the shade. He said, a la sombra. A la sombra. And that was very kind of him to correct me. And then he said, what is that word in English? And I said, shade. Shade. And he said, shade. He practiced it a couple of times. Then 3 hours later, when he came back to pick us up, he said, that word again, shike? I said, shade. And I felt really much better, because a lot of times I would only get one sound in the word correct, and the rest of it was from somewhere else, I don't know, but not Espanol. And the words were confusing. The word for Thursday and the word for egg sounded the same to me. The word for dog and the word for butt are the same. And it's comical for people who speak Spanish, which I'm happy about, because it helps them be more patient. It helps them maybe want to practice because they'll have something fun to tell their friends about. I'm still very timid about speaking because I hate to be a beginner. And what I really mean to say is, I think I should be able to do everything well right away. What I really mean to say is, being a learner is fine for other people, but not for me. I'm very uncomfortable in that role. What I really mean to say is, I don't know what. It takes courage to make mistakes. It takes courage to be a leader, but a learner. But why does it take courage to be a learner? Why? It shouldn't. Everybody has to learn sometime, and when you're a learner, it means you don't know everything, and so you're going to make mistakes, and it should be okay. And what I really mean to say is, I'm just like everybody else, and it makes me mad. And it makes me mad that I have to remember that over and over again and remind myself, and life reminds me often enough. I just think I should know it by now. I learn over and over that it's okay to be a learner. The mistakes are inevitable if you want to grow. That some people learn best when they're over their heads. And the kind of help that equips people who are on an adventure is real help, where the kind of help that takes the adventure away is not real help. And what I really mean to say is, I'm glad to be back sharing life with you. And this is going to be a learning year. Now, will you please join me in singing the hymn? Its words are on the next page in your bulletin. It's pretty easy, and I'll sing the first verse, and those of you who know it, sing it with me. And it's just got a regular 4-beat for those of you who know about counting. Let the life I lead. Oh, where are we? Let the life I lead speak for me. Let the life I lead speak for me. When I'm lying in my grave and there's nothing more to say, let the life I lead speak for me. Let the friends I've made speak for me. Let the friends I've made speak for me. When I'm lying in my grave and there's nothing left to say, let the friends I've made speak for me. Let the